I've got a problem up on the board for you folks to try. I'm giving you this equation and asking you to write it in the form x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals c. And then I've just sort of paraphrased the directions, describe the solution set. So what that means is if c is a positive number, we're getting a circle. Give me the center and the radius of the circle. If c is 0, as we saw in the last example, we're getting a single point. Tell me what that point is and that that's the only solution. And if c is negative, we're getting no solution, and tell me that. Okay. So pause the video, give this one a shot. All right, so I'm going to rearrange this just a little bit. We've got x squared. Now notice we don't have any x's. That's kind of nice. That tells us this is already in the right form because x squared is just x minus 0 squared. When you have that, it's not necessary to rewrite it as x minus 0 squared. You can just leave it as x squared. You've essentially done the subtracting the 0. Okay? But if you don't have any x's, there's no need to complete the square with the x's. For the y's, I will. So we've got plus y squared minus 8y. I'm going to leave a space for the number that we're going to add, but I'm going to move that 100 over to the other side. Okay. So I can see I've got a negative number right there now, but I know that as I complete the square, I'm going to be adding some number to both sides. And it's possible that that's going to make this right-hand side either 0 or positive, so I do need to go through the work of completing the square. All right, so I'm trying to get y plus d quantity squared, which would be y plus d times y plus d, which would be y squared plus 2dy plus d squared. Okay, so again, d is just the opposite of k, because I'm always thinking of it as k being the number I'm subtracting from y, but I find it easiest when I'm completing the square to think of it as I'm squaring a sum of two terms, and some of the times one of those terms is going to be negative. That's totally fine. Okay, so let's see. I have one copy of y squared. The number of y's I want is 2d. The number of y's that I have is negative 8. Remember that sign is considered part of the number. That's going to make d equal negative 4. That's going to make d squared equal positive 16. Okay. So I'm going to add a 16 here, and I'm going to add a 16 here. Okay. Now, I can see at this point, this number on the right is still going to be negative, so I can see that there's no solution. But do notice my directions did say to rewrite it in this form. So I do want to finish simplifying it. So I would say this is x squared, plus that becomes y minus 4 quantity squared. Once we've completed the square, that factors as a perfect square. And that's going to equal negative 84. Okay. So there's the first part of the problem. I wrote it in the appropriate form, but because that's negative, and because the left-hand side is a sum of squares which can't be negative, there would be no solution. Okay. So I could either write no solution, I'm fine with that, or I could say that the solution set is the empty set. And again, we've got two ways of doing that. We can have set braces with literally nothing written inside of them, or we can put what looks like 0 with a slash through it. That's not actually a 0 with a slash through it. That's an empty set sign. Okay. All right, excellent.